Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. we're going straight into recording as, hey, it's 2023. You survived or you didn't. I don't know, but we were talking about that, and Mike does not remember all those who survived or didn't. That's okay. Mike doesn't remember a lot of people's names. For movies, that is. In real life, Mike is pretty good at remembering people's names. If he likes you. If you pay him.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we're back with Lamar, and we're in a new year. Hey, Denver, 2023. And hey, welcome to Denver, Colorado. No, I'm serious. Welcome to Denver, Colorado with Night Vision, 1987 by director Michael Krueger. And Lamar and I worked with a guy named Michael Krueger once. I looked it up. It is not him. This Michael Krueger unfortunately passed in 1990. This is a Denver director who we watched a series of movies before and is best known as from Night Vision and Mind Killer. This was my favorite of the two. All three of us have watched both of the films. This is one of the movies I wanted to come back to. This is the first time that Lamar and Mike have watched this film. We're hoping to have Rami with us tonight, but he unfortunately was unable to join us. But Rami has watched Night Vision with us as well. And so, yeah, Mike is not going to like this film. I'm going to give this movie more praise than Mike likes, and I don't know where Lamar is going to fall in the spectrum of things. But yes, welcome to Night Vision. And before you two start talking, I usually forget, I am Paul. Next to me is Mike. Again, we're with Lamar. And the premise of Night Vision is, damn it, I just clicked on it to expand it. A stolen VCR enables whoever watches it to predict the future, but it also shows satanic rites and devil worship. And maybe, shows something. Shows a lot of green flashes, but Michael Krueger directed. Yes, it's like, gentlemen, there you go.
How did you find this movie? Did you just type in Denver movies? I know
No.
you guys were looking for Denver movies.
No.
And this was...
Rami and I were watching a movie together about a year ago, and this movie came up, and we just started watching it. And I think, because now rewatching it, there are clear opening sequences of Denver. Before, I think I wasn't paying attention, then just kind of looking up here and there. And I was like, whoa, this looks like... I remember literally talking to Rami, and I was like, this kind of looks like Denver. And again, watching it the second time, I'm like, there are clear landmarks. I would have been like, oh my God, it's Denver. But throughout the opening 5 to 10 minutes, we're both like, yeah, it kind of looks like Denver. And eventually one of us just was like, I looked it up. It's Denver. Holy crap, it's Denver, Colorado. And this guy's directed other movies in Denver. I don't know what's going on.
Is he from Denver?
Yes, he was. Again, he passed in 90.
Oh, sad.
Yeah. Rabbit Troop Sucks listeners, I would love to know anything about Michael Krueger about this. So the director's name is Michael Krueger. Again, he directed and wrote Mind Killer, which is the other big film, and Night Vision, both from 1987. He is also the writer of Lone Wolf from 1988 and Amityville, I don't know what, I can't read my handwriting, like Workshop, Curiosities, Curse, Amityville Curse, sorry, and that was from 1990. But we've often talked about things that happened in Denver and movies that we can watch. I know nothing about this director, and I tried to look up something just really quickly, and there doesn't seem to be a lot posted. If you know anything about this, if you were in this movie, if you know someone who was in this movie, if you are still living here, let us know anytime and reach out to us in our many ways that you can.
Seems like he pulled off those 4 movies in maybe a 3 or 4 year period of time.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Before he died, he even had one that he directed in 1990, the year that he died.
No. So this one he directed and wrote. Mind Killer he directed and wrote, and then the other 2 he just wrote, and that was Lone Wolf and Amityville Curse.
Oh, okay. So just Mind Killer and this one is the only ones he directed. All right.
It seems like some of the actors were only in his films as well.
I saw that. So Jill, was that Shirley Ross? Does anyone here know Shirley Ross? Denver, Colorado, was only in these 2 films. That's the credit on IMDb, and that's what I saw, Mike. Yeah. So like,
and an episode of Joe Bob's Drive-In.
But I'm assuming that was like
it was because she was in one of the movies.
Correct. Yeah, that's my assumption. I would love, seriously, I would love to know anything about this director. One of the reasons we started this podcast, obscure, often forgot about or not discussed films. Like or dislike this, who is this director? I legitimately want to know more about who this guy is. How do they get the rights to do this? Everyone seems super cool about it. Were most of these people from Denver? I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Curious as well.
And Mike, that's going to be one of my biggest selling points. Even if Mike doesn't like the film, it's this guy in Denver was making films, and I just kind of want to know more about it. So, yes, is this film awesome? No, unfortunately, it's not. Spoiler. But there's a lot of things that like make me like watching the film. Clearly, Denver scenes, us questioning where these places are. I wrote some questionable locations. Like, is this even real? Clearly, not anymore. I don't know. Yeah, so it was kind of a fun like hide and seek game. My daughter has these books where you have to like find it. That was me during this movie. I'm like, screw the story of the book or this movie. Like, find the rabbit and the carrots. And this was like, do I know that bar? Have we been to that bar? I even said at one point in time, I was like, is this my old house? Do I live here?
That's true. I think with living in a city where a movie is shot, you kind of tend to look for scenes like that, especially in smaller cities. Like, well, I don't want to say Denver was back then it was a smaller city.
Well, not according to this movie, big city. People are being shot and robbed and beaten all day long.
I think people in like LA and New York, they're like, yeah, whatever, movies are shot here every day. Denver is just, we don't get movies shot here a lot. So we see like 17th Street, I clearly saw a shot of some hotels and kind of mark out for some of that stuff.
I wonder why things are not shot here more. I mean, I know the fair of the day is everything is filmed in Atlanta, and I think it's what I read is it's dirt cheap. I also read the backlash is everyone in Atlanta hates everyone and every actor and everything that's happening.
Wow.
Because I remember reading things like in Walking Dead, you couldn't mow your grass for a week, and you had to do stuff because it had to be aesthetically like on par with like the fallout of the world. But I don't know, like Denver is. I imagine, like, depending on how you filmed it, Denver downtown would be looking like a major city. Like, you couldn't really tell it apart now. I know this movie's dated, it's 87, but now, I mean, that would be, you could probably do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the logistics of it.
What was the weird Liam Neeson movie that we'll eventually do? Was it Cold Pursuit?
Cold Pursuit?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that fake Denver backdrop, like... Here's Liam Neeson. Like, if Liam Neeson just came to town and talked to the governor, I bet you could just, like, film for free. Like, Liam Neeson talked to the governor and, like, they filmed for a day. The end, like, I don't know. I don't know the logistics of, like, getting, like, permits and stuff. It seems like you could probably schmooze your way to the top, especially if you have some people involved.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that's the issue with filming in Denver.
Well, that's how Michael Krueger got shut down.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why he filmed exclusively in alleys.
Yeah, most of this movie is alley shot, so can't really find like a street that we can identify. In fact, I actually can maybe identify some of the alleys that these scenes were shot in. They are definitely downtown alleys.
Oh, yeah.
Cleaner
Oh, yeah.
alleys. They're kind of opened up a little more, so they look like streets, but they're cleaned up a little.
And one of the main locations is a video store, so it's like Denver Video One. Imagine Video One was operating out of an alley. Or what was the video store by King Soopers on Corona? There's like I think a Starbucks is still there, or a Dazbog.
I can't recall.
But there was like
but I
that
know
independent video. It was like one of the
Yeah.
last independent video stores. That in Video One. But
I when they were going out of business, I bought a copy of the 2012 John
wow.
Cusack movie.
we should totally do that. We should do that. You know, I said the theme last time around was like the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. REM shout out, but that is the end of the world, and that was our New Year's Eve. We should do 2012, reminisce about video stores, and talk about taking every transportation unit ever to escape the inevitable end of the earth.
My problem with doing 2012, aside from the fact that it sucks, is that it's 3 hours long.
That
Yeah,
is
it's really
true.
long.
I would love to do a disaster movie with
I would
you
love to
guys,
clown on that
but-
movie for sure, but like
That one.
I don't want to watch it again. Like if we could just talk about it and I don't have to view it.
What's
fine.
oh my god, I can't think. What's the Frozen one?
The Day After
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
The Day After Tomorrow. I can't. That's the worst for me. Outside of the wolves, like falling down steps and me laughing at wolves, which I would never in real life. that would just be terrible. That's the worst for me. That movie is almost done. We recently watched it. I almost recently bought it. I think it was on sale on iTunes. I was like, I should do it because I'm going to do it again. Maybe I did buy it,
Really?
but it's unwatchable, and I'll still watch it.
I think you did actually mention it to me.
I would watch that movie every day for a week if I never had to watch 2012 again.
Wow.
You're putting it up there, huh?
I think
2012 is just that bad.
The Day After
you.
Tomorrow sucks, but it's like it's not unwatchable for me. 2012 is a worse movie in my opinion, and it's 5 times as long.
I agree with Mike that the length is really off-putting. I'm trying to almost do like movie terrible math in my head. So I feel here's the 2012 selling point. The first 40 minutes aren't too terrible, but the rest of the movie is just atrocious. And I totally agree with Mike, it's super long. Where The Day After Tomorrow is like a slow burn of nothing and just not really good. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, would I take 40 minutes of like something okay that's much longer, or just a okay movie? I'm like, I don't know.
It's a tough choice. I hate long movies.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not good too. I mean, yeah. I don't hate long movies. Rico, my dad, who is on this, is the master of long movies, and I do agree with him on many occasions. But like, if you're locked into a long one, so like Man of Steel, which Mike has heard me bitch about all of my life, I watched Man of Steel, and halfway through, I paused it, thinking, there's 25 minutes of this movie left. I'm just going to run to the restroom. False. There was an hour and 40 minutes left of the movie. I almost started crying. I got half drunk just to watch the movie. I just kept drinking because it kept going, and I didn't know what to do. The movie's unwatchable. Don't watch that film. We're never going to cover that, or almost probably any DC thing.
There you go. Unless it gets really obscure and bad.
Yeah.
Then maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe do like an obscure cartoon, but I don't think Mike would like that.
No, he wouldn't.
Right off the bat,
And
you're
boom.
just saying
So
that
shutting
hard
it down.
no.
If we could do the old like made for TV Fantastic Four.
Oh, I have that. We could do that.
Okay,
so that's
I would-
Marvel. Yes, we could
Oh,
totally
is
do
that Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay, I would do that.
Yeah, I would totally do that. I've never seen that in full. Lamar and I watched, I think, the first 15 minutes of it on a file I have.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah, we're like, the thing looks like he's made out of like styrofoam at like Spirit Halloween.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that, and I would.
Yeah, that
okay.
I think could be a lot of fun. I can't name it. It's like legitimately like an obscure thing would have to come down to like a DC cartoon. Which again, I'm not. It's fine. Mike's not going to want to watch it. Lamar and I love some of the DC cartoons. I've bonded with Lamar for years. I love some of the Batman cartoons. The Constantine cartoons, we've seen like one or two. I thought was cool.
Yeah.
They would just be more obscure. So it'd be probably, we like it obscure. Mike wouldn't want to watch it for various reasons. That's fine. Live action, I couldn't even, there's like I mean, I guess we overall like some of the Christopher Nolan ones. I just wouldn't call it an obscure film. And I couldn't think of an obscure Batman film. I guess one day, maybe down the road, if like we revisited like the Batman movie with Adam West. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen that since I was like 7.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe like something like that. But like legitimately, there's nothing in the DC universe that's for me that I would do on an obscure podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, we're in this movie. Boom!
Yeah,
It starts
boom, yeah, night vision.
Night vision.
Starts off in Denver, Colorado,
Yeah,
home of the Rockies, but not yet. 1987.
that's true. Apparently, home of the Red Sox, because that's the sports team that someone's watching later.
Yeah, so we basically get our lead character, Andy, trying to check into a hotel, asking for the landlord. I have no idea what's going on.
The fucking landlord. Yes. Where's the landlord?
Yeah, so this like basically this Kansas yokel flies into town. I'm not trying to be like weird and being a jerk saying that. Like he references himself as this person time and time again, and so do other people. Like back in Kansas, and Mike brings up a really good point that you guys did not hear. But while we're watching it, Mike's like, "Was it ever established that this is in Denver?" I don't think so.
No one ever says it's Denver.
Yeah, that's weird. It's a really weird move that both these movies this director did, who directed and again wrote 4 things, but directed these 2, take place in Denver, but it's never really mentioned. I wonder if there was some gray area of filming and why things aren't really noted and really described, and maybe it was just like asking for forgiveness rather than permission. Like I put together this movie, they're like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah.
Like. But it was like 87 technology, so it was like you you had a camcorder and were doing stuff? Well, we didn't see it.
Yeah, I also got to figured maybe they didn't want you to know it was Denver.
It's the big city.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're pitching this as like, oh, you're never gonna make it in the big city. It's so gritty and dangerous. And like, this is 1980s Denver. Like, it's probably more dangerous now.
Oh,
Then I thought, is this an allegory to Call of the Wild? Is this like he's coming in here instead of panning for gold, he's writing stories?
Right, maybe. Well, there's also like typically when you have Denver in a movie, there's some reference to the mountains. There are no tracking shots that give you like a geographical idea of where you are. You see the city skyline, but you only ever see it from the west looking east. They never show it looking west with the mountains behind it.
My favorite are the night shots because it looks like it's somewhere close to maybe sometimes the 16th Street Mall or, like, I don't know, probably like 5 Points or near like 20th and Lawrence, kind of like those areas. And everyone is always like looking down and walking fast, and that's kind of, and like Denver is super nice, but that is kind of the gist. Like, hey, I don't want to talk to people late at night. Like, at most, is someone be like, "Can I ask these directions legitimately?" And you're like, "Yes." Now part ways.
Well, they showed Union Station a couple times,
Yeah, they
I kind of assumed it would be around there.
It was so bare bones when they were showing it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We talked about Ladybugs. Ladybugs is like 92 or 3.
Right.
It even seems like more's there when they do aerial shots in that film. I mean,
Right. Well, so yeah, I mean, what was that? 5 years later.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, and
5 years later in a bigger production.
Right, but I mean, in Ladybugs, Denver looks like a pleasant place.
Yeah.
And in this movie, they made it look like an uninhabitable hellscape.
They also went out of their way. Yeah.
92. It was 92.
Oh,
So 5 years.
Yeah.
Good point. They really made it look trashy.
Right, like it's always wet.
They
There's
artificially just
Welcome
put
to
trash
Colorado.
in
It's always wet. It doesn't rain here. I know. Don't worry about it. Where does it come from?
It's like fake trash in the streets and all that. It's just, they really made it look like a quote unquote big city.
But some of the interior, like, I don't know, apartment shots, I feel confident those were the apartments in some of the Capitol Hill apartment complexes from probably 1967 to 2015. That someone's like, hey, you need to put in a new rug, and someone's like, fine, this time. But you're not getting heat this year. You wrap yourself up in that rug.
I've lived in some of those apartments.
I know that's what I'm saying. That.
That.
Yeah. My notes on this movie are very sparse, so you guys are going to have to lead this a lot more than usual.
Well, okay, so Andy's checking into, he finally gets directions. Basically, the hotel people are pretty nice. They're like, no, we're booked up and you need to go somewhere else. You basically need to go to a long-term motel and you could check in, and he goes to one based on their recommendation. And they're like, hey, you could stay here. This woman's like, you could stay here week to week and I want the deposit up front, etc. And then, he's calling his mom and he's checking in. And you see this kind of as a progression throughout the movie. He's checking in with his mom, then he's kind of checking in with her less. He starts as this like very good boy. He's now becoming
He's a very good boy.
not a very good boy. He's such a bad boy.
Oh, one thing worth noting, sorry to backtrack, but I just really like this. When he's trying to check into the first hotel with all those fucking buffalo dicks walking around, when he's talking to the landlord.
You should probably explain those buffalo people.
Oh, it was like a cult. No, what do you call it when like dudes get together?
Like one of those
like a lodge, like the water buffaloes from the
Yeah,
honeymooners
exactly.
or whatever. And they're just being loud and weird. But he's talking to the landlord and he's like, yeah, it's $220. He's like, that's more than I thought. He's like, yeah, fucking whatever. Do you want the room? He's like, yes. He's like, oh, money though, you have to give me a credit card. And he opens his wallet and starts reading numbers from his library card. And the guy's like, okay, that's enough numbers. Yeah, we'll see you to your room now. And then they just like throw him out into the street.
Yep.
And as soon as they throw him out into the street, children steal his clothing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Yeah, two little vagabonds.
Two little street urchins
Yeah.
steal his shit.
Also, I wrote a side note. I think this is like before he checks in. There's a lot of like Denver scenes, and it's cool. Like honestly, like, I mean, any city you live in, isn't it cool to see like scenes of the past? So you're seeing Denver, and there's like some construction happening, and I note Shenanigans happen, shenanigans ensue. Jackhammers, that's still probably happening on 15th and anywhere. So
Yeah.
And like especially when you wind up like 15th off Colfax. Side note, if you're listening, Colfax, unless this has changed, Colfax turns into 15th Avenue. And trivia for listeners is Colfax or 15th Avenue is the longest street in America, unless that has changed in the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe it has. It's
Yeah.
true.
Boom.
I think it's the longest avenue. I don't think it's the longest street, but
Longest avenue.
something like that. I
it's
don't
all
know how that
semantics.
works.
The
It's all
longest
semantics.
something.
Yeah, I think it still stands.
Well, my long friend.
I'll still be your long friend.
We'll have to look that up. Yeah, I just wrote kids steal bag.
Yeah, and he's throwing out of his. I like how the kids are just hanging out there waiting.
Yeah, they just
That's what they do all day.
Yeah.
I also, and I think this came out around a similar time. Not that anyone's stealing from one another. I got really Big vibes. Like the movie Big, Tom Hanks, when he checks into that first hotel room and he's like hearing gunshots and he's like crying in the corner. Like, oh, but this motel room that he stays in is kind of nice. It's a clear studio apartment.
Yeah.
It is a full kitchen. The only thing,
ish.
it's like a kitchenette. The bummer of it all is, and I did not know this until later in the film, it does not have its own bathroom. It's like a hostel and you're sharing that.
There's
yeah.
sometimes lines for that bathroom. Yeah, but he like the first apartment that I lived in here, like this is not that far adjacent to what that was.
Did you have a shared bathroom in your first?
I did have my own bathroom, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
But like the footprint of my apartment was about what that was.
It's funny because I note, and I did not know he did not have a bathroom at that time. I was like, if this is Cap Hill, what would this go for now? Like close to $2,000, thinking that he had his own bathroom in that place. I'm like, oh my god.
Even without, I mean,
probably, yeah, now probably.
and he's paying $60 a week. That's a deal.
Oh my god, yes, yeah.
I mean, I would pay
Yeah.
$60 a month to live there now if I could.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Hell yes.
But he's in his $60 a week apartment, and he's opening his suitcase that the kid stole from, and inside he has, if I'm right, a clementine orange.
I also wrote an orange. I was like, he has underwear from mom
Right.
and an orange. Who the
Yeah.
hell is packing an orange?
and goobers.
And goobers, yeah.
And short stories.
And his short
Right, so I
stories.
stopped by the movie theater,
and,
Right.
pack some bus snacks.
and an orange stand and picked up some produce.
What the hell's going on in this?
And the
Yeah.
look on his face when he pulled out the Fruit of the Loom underwear that his mom packed for him.
Yeah, and he didn't. It was a nice surprise for
Yeah.
mom. He's like, "Oh, mom, you're looking out. Here's the
yeah,
3-pack
there
of
you
tidy
go."
whities. I don't have any shirts because these fucking vagabonds stole it, but you know, I got the underwear."
They know. They know.
But he's also wearing like really nice pajamas while this is happening, so maybe he had a secret
That's fair.
bag. Fuck, I don't know.
I believe he goes to the video.
He goes to the video
Yeah.
store. That's right. Yeah.
And so, one, and this is probably going to be the picture we post. We've talked about how we take screenshots, but it's the kid looking at the pornographic tapes. That's probably going to be it. This kid's looking at this stuff, but I do want to know, and you guys could describe this, that at one point we learned this woman is named Jill. I don't think her name is brought up, honestly, for 40 minutes. But we find out that Andy is a writer, and we'll get there. But
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, what are you writing?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know what I'm writing, but I think I'll find it in this city."
Yeah, Jill is the woman who works at the video store. Yeah, and he's making all these illusions. Like so his first interaction with her, he walks in, he's looking at some horror movies. There's a kid looking at some pornos. Do you have any of the names of these?
I don't.
Okay, I didn't either, but some of them were fun.
I wonder if they're real. I mean, all the movies in the background are real, but
Yeah.
but it's kind of interesting. I was noting. I want to say Lamar pointed out like some bigger name, but
There was one.
But there was like a bunch of horror movies that were more like, I don't know, like the indie 80s horror movies. So it wasn't like Hellraiser, but it was like Basket Case. And I was like,
did.
whoa, okay.
I did
Like,
see
weird-
some
weird
Friday
movies.
the 13th
Oh, really?
on there. Yeah. Which
What was that weird poster that I saw?
2x4?
2x4 the movie.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
No one knows.
Is that supposed to be in the Home Depot movie?
It wasn't a hot rental.
We should do it. #Home Depot movie.
Okay.
It stars Will Ferrell. and it's a holiday movie, and I am just piecing it together, but I'm copywriting all of this.
Okay.
Home Depot, the movie, Will Ferrell, 2024.
I bet it's probably been done.
God,
we just
no.
don't know about it. We just don't know.
No.
Yeah, who knows?
Classic.
So this little kid is trying to steal a porno, and this woman is
I mean, what? Yeah, what he is trying to steal that we eventually learn. What an idiot.
well, yeah. So for any of you listeners who are under the age of 30,
Call them Zoomers.
yeah,
Or this kid.
like back when you would rent physical VHS tapes at a store, you would bring an empty box that was on a shelf up to the counter, and they would give you the movie. So this
Or the last, for me, the last iteration of Blockbuster, which was on, what is the cross street of what Independent Records and Angelo's is on
Ogden?
Colfax? Is it Ogden?
yeah.
There used to be a Blockbuster there. That would be the last one I've ever went to. And if they didn't say what Mike is noting, like you have to bring up the case, it would be they had the case and then like 4 Blockbuster cases of it,
Right,
like
yeah.
behind it.
But like the movie case that you brought didn't have anything in it.
Correct.
So this kid is basically just trying to steal an empty case. Maybe he just wants to like crank off to the pictures or something. But so Jill is
God, if only he had the internet.
yeah, Jill is yelling at him and telling him he's a dummy because there's no videotape in there. And she looks over and she sees I'm gonna do names tonight. It's Andy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
She sees Andy over there like writing down what she's saying, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Just catching some natural dialogue."
Yeah, he doesn't even finish the sentence. He's like, I'm catching some natural and she's like, natural dialogue. Like she is totally
Yeah,
overstepping.
she's
her
like really
lines.
off put. She's like, "You fucking hayseed, roll back to Kansas."
My first thought is she knew his lines and he kept messing them up. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to tell you
that
your
could
lines.
be. She's a professional. She's been in all 3 of this guy's movies.
Oh, shit.
Two.
Both of this guy's movies.
Both of the movies he directed and wrote.
Yeah.
She's coming off like a bitch too. She's just the bitchy McGee. Like everything that Andy's saying to her, she just replies with.
Oh yeah, she's being a real
Anger
beehole
and-
about it.
And it does 2 things. Pushes a job application on him because he's like, well, he's like kind of alluding to like, I need a job. She's like, you need to talk to Ed, blah, blah, blah. And you need to rent this VCR. So here's a VCR.
Oh yeah, he rents a tape and he's like, "I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't even have a VCR."
And does he have the money to do
Right.
it? Like this guy's eating tangerines out of a suitcase. With the tangerine suitcase is my EP title.
Okay. So yeah, but she makes him rent a VCR and like this. It's like a Domino's pizza delivery bag. So as he's leaving, he witnesses some guys in cloaks
Yep.
mugging a short Italian man, and
That's fairly accurate.
and he decides to intervene.
I'm gonna spoil my notes, just so the audience gets a grasp of who this smaller man is. I later likened him in like halfway through my notes as the Bruno Kirby of the B-side world that's accessible to me. The Denver Bruno Kirby. I could see this. You know Bruno Kirby?
Bruno Kirby?
He's in The Godfather. He is the 3rd member of City Slickers.
Oh, okay. Yep, got it. Yeah, no,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
but like smaller than that.
Yeah. Oh, Bruno Kirby was like maybe a small statured man, but like his acting abilities and his boisterous attitude made him a larger lion-like person. This person is just a small person.
He's just a small little
He's
guy.
just a smurfing around.
Yeah.
He's 3 apples tall.
So he intervenes and somehow he is able to beat off 2 men.
Wow.
Leave it in.
I've noted on numerous occasions that if you are a avid Rabbit Troop Sucks listener, write me privately for any sound files that you would like to use with Mike and him.
No, I'm gonna pull like a riffraff, and I'm just gonna drop a mixtape of me saying things that you can sample.
Nice.
That's how we're gonna make the money.
If you want to hear a play-by-play of how these men were beaten off by this man, talk to Mike.
Just a small Italian man beating off 2 guys in cloaks.
It's basically why
Yeah.
Mike and I started this podcast.
Correct. And Andy says, "You sure we're getting your ass kicked?"
Sure was.
And they're now these 2 are immediate best friends. Little Italian man who
It's a unique friendship.
it's a unique friendship. what's his name? Vinny?
Vinny.
Yeah.
Vinny.
So funny, I wrote down that his name was Vinny before anyone said his name.
Oh no!
Because in my heart I knew it was going to be Vinny, and
nice.
I was correct.
Vinny
good.
Scotto.
Vinny Scotto. But Vinny's like, you know what? I got a good feeling about you. We're going to be friends. I'm like 4 feet tall. And he's like, we should hang out all the time. And Andy's like, okay. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, let's buy each other beers. He's like, I'm kind of broke. And so Vinny is like, you know what? I'm just going to steal a case of Labatt Blue from this bar, and we're going to go back to my house. And they do that.
Yeah, he dips into a bar and just steals a case, a full box of beer,
Right.
and just runs off.
Also, all of this takes place in an alley, because every time anyone
course.
does anything in this movie, it's in an alley.
And I do want to note, as you know, Italian heritage goes, Mike and I, this is basically how we met. Mike took
were
me
in
under
an
his
alley.
wing. He was taking beer out of things. He was like, "Look at these Mamalukes," and like we ran off, and I was like, "Oh, Madon," and they're
Yeah.
like,
I was just
Fangul.
beating off some guys in an alley, and Paul and I became friends.
And then we had some great Italian bread, and we dipped it in olive oil, and that's the way you do it.
Now they're gonna know the story's fake, because there's no such thing as good Italian bread in Denver.
Oh, we found someone. Like someone was
Someone?
making it in their house.
Oh, okay. The bread. I thought the bread was.
Oh no! Like
somebody.
we fell ass backwards into someone just like making some bread, some Italian bread.
Ass backwards onto a loaf of bread.
They're like dipping into the olive oils. Like I know what you're talking about.
These are all code for sex things.
We all held our fingers, our forefinger and our thumb into a circle and said, "Ah, Madon."
That's when I introduced him to my never-ending salad bowl.
Were you boys slamming Labatt Blues as well while you're doing all this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they're hanging out back at Vinny's place, and Vinny is clearly a crook. He's got like.
I love his setup. This is
He
beautiful.
goes in and he attempts to like put on some music, and it takes, I think, 3 boom boxes before he finds one that works.
But there's also like added sound effects as he's doing it.
Yeah.
So he tries to turn on a boombox, and you hear like, I wrote this somewhere. It sounds like he plays. Oh no, I'll say it when it works. So you see, he's trying to click on the boombox, and it's like, bam, 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 bam. But when he gets the one that works, I wrote, plays broken ornament ballet that sounds like crap on boombox. I think that's what I wrote.
That's fair.
It is weird. It's like beep bop 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 beep bop. It's like broken glass.
Yeah.
It just sounds like crap.
It does. It's
Yeah,
playing over. He has other boom boxes playing music in the background.
He
it's
might.
like playing lo-fi mariachi music over the boom boxes, and there's like 20 of them at least.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's this yes. So to take off Lamar, I was like, I couldn't fully read it. My own handwriting, that is. I wrote he plays broken ornament salsa. Yes. Yeah, I was like,
That's what it sounds like.
yeah, because it's like really like upbeat, but it's like really kind of detuned and chimey. It sounds.
That's
like
what that sound was. All right, it makes more sense now.
this music speaks to me.
But yeah, so they're hanging out, they're listening to music, and he's talking about this girl and like, whatever. Did you just come to a realization?
I'm just hashtagging broken ornament salsa.
Okay, good. Yeah.
There you go.
And Vinny's like, hey, now that you and I are like BFFs for life, how would you like a TV and a VCR so you don't have to rent one anymore?
gives it to him.
Like a fucking Mama Luke.
I know. I'm like, this dude's rad as hell.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, he takes it out of his room full of stolen VCRs and televisions.
Sure, like this guy's not gonna miss it. You saved this dude's life. He's trying to give you a sweet VCR TV
Right.
combo.
And the minute Andy touches it, it static shocks him, and somehow he's bleeding because of this. But it's foreshadowing. This VCR might be cursed.
Yeah, it just might be.
Might be.
Maybe, I don't know.
Who knows? We'll find out. But now this movie has the most abrupt and awful cuts.
Abrupt cuts everywhere is what I
Yep,
wrote.
absolutely. It's just like someone will be in the middle of doing something, the screen will go black, and that same person is in a completely different place doing a different thing with no context.
Mike, I don't even think the screen goes black in some of these cuts. They
no.
just right to the next
yeah,
scene.
they could.
And-
We could have used like a star swipe or something. but-
and in the music and the soundtrack even cuts with it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
right in the middle.
So I'm gonna throw this out as positives. So this movie came out in 1987. I know, Mike, you do not like the film.
So did Ghostbusters.
But
Or
well,
what-
that's the thing. I like that someone was in Denver doing like something with stuff like
I don't.
low budget, but there's no one else. Like what was anyone else doing? How did these people get together? Like, who is this dude? I'm not joking. Like, I think, like, Mike, if someone in 1987 literally was like, I made this movie in 1987 and showed it to me, I'd be like, holy crap. Like, even if I didn't like it, I would still be impressed. Like, you put this movie together with technology you own, like 1987 technology.
Sure.
I'm in.
Okay.
Like, historically speaking, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be a lot of people in Denver who know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
There's 2 films.
I don't know. Someone doing something doesn't make me interested in it.
There was other times too that I even noted, like going through my notes, which I don't like. No one reads all their notes, but like we're skipping over stuff. Like I think it's when Andy's checking in. Like you hear like some kind of like punky band playing in the background. It's like a punky rock band. I'm like, was that a Denver local band?
Was it the Warlock Pinchers?
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't notice that band.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but I did notice.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's cool that like the city that we live in was filmed.
Well, I think
But-
like this, Mike. At least it's not oversaturated. Like we don't have a lot of these films, so that's like my curiosity.
I think
Like,
for a good reason, apparently.
maybe I'm just like, we don't have a lot of these films. I don't have a lot to look back on. I mean, I didn't live here at this time. Lamar did. Just all these other cities, I feel, were doing stuff. Denver tries to talk a big game with culinary skills and tourism and various other things. I do feel like, why aren't people filming here? And it's kind of cool. Like someone was doing something. We don't have a lot of films because we've talked about like we want to go back to Denver, Colorado films, or just Colorado films. It doesn't need to be Denver. But some of them are just so bad.
Much like the one we're discussing presently.
At least it's 1987. I mean, we're going to look at other films maybe probably later in this podcast that are like 2000 and we're like, oh my god, you actually had a budget. Like this guy used I do dig the story. I kind of like the idea of
This
story.
movie.
Actually, the story
Yeah, we can just deconstruct that after like we usually do.
That's true.
I thought the plot of this movie was totally fine.
Oh, cool. Because later I'm like, this totally should have been a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah.
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 Like, that would
Oh
be cool.
yeah, that would have been perfect. Actually, it feels like a Tales from the. I can't say it feels like a Tales from the Crypt movie, but yeah,
Not
the
a movie, but
concept-
like imagine like a lengthier, if not half-hour episode, like Hayseed comes into big city, wants to write story, like all of a sudden gets weird possessed VCR, and especially if this came out in 1987, like this fuels this guy's stories. They're coming to reality. Like there's a lot we could cut out of this movie. Like I totally agree.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool that someone's doing something. I have never run into anyone who's like, yeah, have you seen this movie? Or you like horror movies? Like no one's mentioned this. Like there's clearly like 100 people plus involved with this production, but I have no idea what's going on. And Lamar, you've lived here all of your life, and I've lived here like the majority of my life.
Yeah, I can't
Or
say
it's
that
over
this
half of my life.
movie was like a major release or was big budget, but I feel like there's I don't want to say a lot of movies like this, but there's probably a lot of Denver movies like this that have just been shuttled off into the back rooms of video stores that we haven't heard about.
So we have I don't know if it's still owned by the same people, Landmark, which was the Mayan and the Esquire.
Right.
You would think like someone would have even been like, well, we're doing a midnight release of this like Denver movie.
No, they can't do a midnight release of this because they have to play the fucking Room every Saturday.
They do play The Room.
Every Saturday.
Take that, Esquire.
The movie sucks, and so do those theaters. Sorry, that's not fair. They're really cool old historic theaters, but I don't want to pay $20 to sit in the worst seat I've ever sat in my life
To see The Room.
to see The Room.
The Esquire was remodeled.
Actually, the Mayan was recently redone as well.
I would like to go to both of them. I have not been to. I think I've only seen 2 movies since the pandemic in the theater. My wife and I saw Spider-Man and Ghostbusters. That's it. That's all I got.
Those are good movies.
They
So
were.
you saw,
Yeah,
Twas.
good
you
movies.
saw all the good movies that came out during the pandemic.
Bravo to me.
Good.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Is this where Vinny brings in a donut?
No,
That's a
this
little
is
later.
so. I wrote this down, and this will make sense to literally nobody.
I can't wait.
So, and actually, Paul, you have had an online interaction with this fellow, my friend and coworker from Maine, Bill.
Oh, is this the one I wrote like when we first met? Like,
Yeah.
What did I write that guy?
I don't even remember, and it doesn't
It
matter.
seemed pornographic.
It probably was, but he had a pseudo personality that he would adopt at work sometimes, whose name was Vinny Bag of Donuts. And so
Does Bill listen to this?
I don't know.
You should tag.
Okay,
him. You should like specifically send.
I'll
him. Hey
hashtag
Bill.
Vinny Bag of Donuts.
Hey Bill. I wrote you an email.
So yeah, when Vinny brought the bag of donuts, that made me think of that.
Well, I genuinely like Vinny.
No, Vinny's a cool guy.
Well, here's the thing, like,
Kind of, for a criminal.
yeah, I kind of wish they fleshed him out a little bit because he does throw Andy under the bus. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Well, he wants a driver.
Yeah, he's trying to get Andy to drive a
his-
getaway car for him.
Yeah, and his thug friend is like, "That's great because if like the car's pulled over, no, we're not going to jail." Like,
Right,
so-
because
so
the audience is too fucking stupid to figure out that that's what he was
yeah,
trying
like,
to do.
and he says it just like that. Like I'm not even like exaggerating, like some rock Neanderthal. Like
No, that was pretty accurate.
yeah, and if I wish they took that out because Vinny's like, yeah, like then we won't go to jail. Vinny's kind of badass. He's like, it's honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
It's totally that. I think you could be a thief, Andy, but you're not.
Yeah.
But I'll share whatever I have. Like we will never screw each other over. It is established right off the bat. Like you got me out of a scrap. Here's a TV and VCR. I'm going to stop by. This guy's bringing him donuts. One day he breaks in and he's like, hey, I need something, but I'll talk to you later. You got a date? I didn't mean to bother you, but I stocked your fridge with beer. I'm like,
Yeah, he keeps
I'm like, who are you, a
He keeps
genie?
breaking into his house, delivering him beer and donuts, and trying to get him to drive his truck.
Yeah,
Hey, he really wants a driver that badly.
He needs a driver. Yeah.
we all do.
So yeah, after the whole thing with the truck wraps up, we've got Andy going back to the video store. I don't know if it's the next day, 2 days later, whatever. But he's returning.
I think he had 2 days.
He did have 2 days. He's returning the VCR. The fucking kid is back trying to steal more porno, and there is a older gentleman who is renting a pornography. Do any of you have the name of this?
I don't.
I don't, but that older gentleman looked like the guy who's like, I'll buy that for $1. RoboCop, that guy.
Correct. He did look like that guy.
I thought of that guy.
And the video that he was renting was called Nazi Rectal Roundup.
Oh yeah, I remember we talked about it as we were
Yeah, we
watching.
did.
Yikes!
Andy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He is returning in addition to the VCR, the application that he's filled out because he wants to work there. And Linda.
Jill.
Yeah.
Wait, let's go back. Let's super tangentially go back a step. Do we establish that we would do in fact yes the Running Man? I think Chris Brewer said.
I don't know. I do
said
Running Man.
it.
Yeah, obviously. We say it all the time.
But I think they're remaking it, so we should totally do the Running Man. The Running Man's awesome. We should do the Running Man. Yes, it's going to be a positive review, but it's so fun.
Absolutely.
What that we were discussing led you to Running Man?
Didn't you say something with Schwarzenegger or that guy? No, I'll buy that for $1.
Oh, okay. there we go.
Which was Smash TV. Something got me there.
All right.
So
we made the connection.
Excellent. She's looking over his resume, and it's all like, he has like, food service, retail stuff, and she is clowning on him hard for his work experience while she is working in a video store. I don't want to be disparaging to what anyone does for anything, but like, she's being kind of a bitch.
I would have left the interview. Like even
Correct, yeah.
even if you were hard up for money, this person, I mean, from what I'm seeing here, has absolutely no intention of hiring you and is making you feel super awful about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing to walk away from, but
Yeah,
she's playing hard to get. It's playground rules.
yeah he likes her. It's obvious. He just-
I get it.
yeah.
I get it. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Why
in real
he
life,
likes
I'd be
her, no one
damn,
knows,
You're
but-
awful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Jill.
he also tells her, is this where he tells her, I think he tells her about the tape that he saw in the that he watched.
Oh, maybe.
And I don't think we talked about the tape that he watched. And
We saw it just briefly. He was like, I don't know, like I saw this tape and it came with this tape, so I don't need this VCR. And she's like, I don't know who this Vinny guy is, but it seems weird. He's just giving you stuff. Kind of.
I'm not even sure if that's happened yet, because the next scene in my notes are he's watching the video at home and he hears like the satanic chanting, and he's like, that sounds familiar. For whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, that's later.
Yeah.
And it's really weird.
Yeah. And this is okay, so this is the next morning is when Vinny shows up.
Well, let's go back
Okay.
just for a second. Like kind of, again, tangential comment to both of you. Why is Jill questioning Vinny? Vinny seems super cool. Like, imagine this. Like, what would be like what's like a super cool TV? Mike, you know more about this than I. Like, is there something beyond like OLED at this point in time?
Like 8K?
Yeah, like
yeah, probably.
imagine your friend is like, hey, you helped me out of a scrap. Here's an 8K TV and some free dope movies to watch. Because I'm going to tell you pretty directly. No, I'm not going to tell you directly. I'm going to show you my warehouse and just not talk about it. But clearly I'm fencing some stuff. But I'm going to give you some stuff. Because thanks for helping me.
Oh, you know,
like, is anyone gonna be like, man, how dare that guy?
something that we might want to bring up, because it is linchpin to the whole plot of this movie, and we did not talk about it at all. The first scene of this movie is Vinny stealing this TV and VCR from a satanic group.
Well, it's there,
right? And so yeah, he steals. We don't know it's Vinny at the beginning. But but later you see it in a replay. So he steals this TV and VCR with a recording of a ritual in it from like a bunch of satanic panic people in an apartment, and they are the people that are mugging Vinny when Andy saves him. So like, the most important part of this movie we have not talked about.
So it's tied together.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was talking about, you just helped a dude out. He's like, hey, you know what I'm into. Here's a 8K TV. Are we cool? Probably.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, all right. Like,
Sure.
Yeah. And then he's later bringing you donuts and stocking your fridge with beer.
So fast forward, and now he's watching this tape in this video, in this VCR. And he goes to sleep and he has some weird dreams. Vinny Bag of Donuts shows up in the morning, and Vinny is reading some these pages that
it's like it is. I said somewhere in my notes. I don't even need to look at this. I wrote he step by step wrote out a satanic ritual in a manual format.
Right. Yeah. So he typed all this down, and Vinny's reading it, and Andy's like, I didn't write any of this. And this is where we start to figure out, like, okay, watching
He's
the
also
tape,
sleeping with a lead pipe.
He's also sleeping with a lead pipe. The lead pipe came gratis with his apartment. It was one of the features advertised by the landlady. So this is where we're kind of figuring out that, like, watching this videotape lets you do something in your dreams. For him, it's writing things that haven't happened yet.
Yeah, which is a super cool premise. I mean, I'm sure this has been written about in other like novels, novellas, short stories by like very like prolific authors. I mean, I'm sure Stephen King, Ray Bradbury, like people like this. But I like this idea. Someone has some kind of object that is like, I'm an innocent person. I mean, this is Twilight Zone 101. I'm an innocent person. Now you're in a situation. And very rarely does someone leave the Twilight Zone with those same good intentions, but they do sometimes. And it's really like a moral test, which is kind of cool. This is like the basis of every religion. Like, now you're in this situation, what do you do? That's why I said Tales from the Crypt. You get a haunted typewriter, you get a VCR, like whatever. It could be cool. I'm down with the premise.
Yeah, the premise was fine. The movie was not fine, but the premise was good.
Well, that's why I'm going back. Like, I'm curious about this guy. He was doing something. Like, Mike, I don't even know. I saw that he died in 1990. I have no idea how old this person is. Like, maybe this person could have done something cool and been like, I was a Denver director. And we're just seeing, like, this is what I did with a camcorder and, like, VHS tapes I got from Walgreens. Like, I have no idea. That's why I'm just like, someone was doing something at least interesting enough. Maybe it's just I wanted more. Like, what would this guy have been in like 2000? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, think about like Mike and I play music. Lamar, you play music. Like, think about the first song you wrote or something like this. Like, we're just seeing like a draft of something, because I do think the story is cool. This guy maybe wouldn't be a good director. Maybe like later we'd be like, oh, like he did cool scripts for Hollywood, like something. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. In the film scene, maybe the apprehension. Why I'm battling Mike is I wish someone from Denver was doing something in the film scene that was getting more notoriety. Like, I'm sure there's people.
Right.
We have film schools every which way in Colorado. Like, damn.
So your argument for why this movie is good is that even though this wasn't good, it would be cool if it was good.
Well, I do think the story was there.
Okay.
So there was a cool story. And it's like I'm listening to the demo of a band that later became big. Like, I see the potential of something. Like, is this what I'm going to go back to and listen to? No, but I'm kind of happy I saw it, but not like Crime Wave, which I'm glad I never need to go back to.
If this movie was a demo tape that I heard of a band, I would have thrown it away and ignored the person that gave it to me for the rest of my life.
But you got to think 1987. You got
Even in 1987.
Now, I think in 1987, someone would be like, how did you do this on like a shoestring budget? And like, what?
This movie to me is like a guy playing acoustic guitar at a party. And someone's like, at least someone's playing guitar. And in my mind, it's like, I wish no one was playing guitar right now.
What's your views on this, Lamar?
Like, I think Denver filmmaking would be in a much better place if this movie never existed.
He had a good idea. I don't think that he's this Mr. Krueger fellow is missing something.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
That could have made him just a decent director. With this Night Visions, I don't think like this. It feels rushed, and I don't think he's trying to make Denver like the scene of this movie. Although I like that
I agree. I think that's unfortunate. I totally agree with you.
I know I like it that he incorporates a lot of Denver stuff in it. I don't think the vision is making Denver the mantelpiece of this movie.
But again, I'm going back like, and I agree, and that is super unfortunate. I don't know what like the legality of this is. Like, I can't assume this guy's just pulling permits. Like I have to assume from 87 till now, there's new codes on how to film things and how to release it. And you could not do something like this today. Even if I did it with my iPhone and someone's like, whoa, dude, like you're releasing this in like real things. There's like people in the background and they didn't give you the rights for their face and like weird stuff. But I really feel in 87, it was like, as long as you don't fully have the establishment's name, and maybe sometimes, and some of them clearly look fake, and some of them are like, does that still exist? Or maybe it was like, I know that guy, so he's cool with it. Like, maybe this. I wish I just had someone to tell me the story of this film. That's what I want, Mike.
Maybe the reason that, so maybe he went to the mayor of Denver and was like, I want to film a movie here.
Are you going to say this is going to lead to a joke?
No, this is this is dead serious. And
I was being serious.
And he explained the plot and like what the movie was about, and he talked about the characters' names and all the bags of donuts. And then the mayor was like, "This sucks. Please never say Denver, and only film in alleys."
So that's why.
You can have access to the popular bar. What was it called? The Package Store.
Yeah, what's that?
That's where he stole the Labatt's Blue from earlier.
There's a cantina later.
Yeah, no one fucking knows.
I tried to write that down.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, no, I lied. I was lining up to clown on this movie some more.
God damn.
There
He's
you
clowning on me.
I am down to clown. So what the fuck is happening in this movie right now?
Let's see here.
I bet it has something to do with Andy and that crazy VCR of his.
Yeah, no, he.
Vinny and Dudes.
Vinny and Dudes.
Encounter Priest.
I don't remember a priest.
I don't either. So hard cut. We see the time on the VCR flash 666.
Oh yeah. I looked at both Lamar and Mike at this point in time. I was like, is anyone seeing that? I did see Mike scribbling things down. He
Yeah.
was the closest to me.
Oh, and this, okay, so one thing that I did write down a couple times, this scene reminded me of the movie Stranger Than Fiction.
I wrote that too, because
Good,
everything
yeah.
starts coming to life. I also wrote that, Mike. Yes.
Yeah, so like we're in the video store and we see the owner of the video store, like an older man who is kind of inconsequential, but you also have Andy narrating on top of it. And at first,
Yeah, it's like a mysterious man
Right, like
who is
it-
tired from life starts stocking VHS tapes.
right, but the way the guy was acting for a second, I thought he could hear that narration.
Yeah.
He couldn't. But anyway, he was like this. So this is what Andy's writing in his sleep that he doesn't remember. He's kind of narrating this store getting tossed apart. Because we don't see it happen, but someone comes in, presumably looking for this videotape, and they, it looks like the store got robbed, but it just kind of got all fucked up.
Yeah, I thought they killed the guy. Ed.
I mean, you were clearly meant to think that
Yeah.
that they killed
Well,
him,
it's
but yeah, he
but
was
like,
there.
that's the weird thing. Like, also, he's not dead, and then it's inconsequential. It's like, but
Right.
he is alive. And then, so the next day, like, they're like, and so one, I don't think we talked about this, but it's all over my notes. We thought Andy was working at this video store the entire time. He's stocking
yeah.
tapes, he's doing stuff, but
He's just there.
this next day is supposed to be his first day.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 45 children, and Lamar was laughing because one kid's like, no, like, what's going on? Do you remember this? Like some kid, and the police tape is there, and Andy's like, no, but I work there. They're like, okay. And they just let him
yeah.
in. Like, they just let him in. And one, kind of, he works there as of right now. That is technically true.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was working there the whole time, but this is day one. And Ed's like, no, man, place trash. You got to go. Heck of a day to start on day one. But,
Yeah.
nope. And then the detective, whatever, if we haven't talked about this guy's like, I'm watching you, new guy. And I'm
Right.
trying to jump through it. But I'm like, okay, detective.
Yeah, so the
Whatever.
detective is suspicious, but they say nothing was stolen, no money was taken. Who the fuck knows why anyone's doing these things? But this is also now where Jill is starting to go, I want to fuck this Andy guy
Yes.
for no good reason because he's a big goddamn weirdo. He keeps talking about Vinny. But how about we go back to my apartment to bang?
Yeah, and here's a super unfortunate thing about literally watching this movie in sequence. So she's talking to him like, oh, like, let's go on a date, and it's like kind of innocent. This movie's kind of overall innocent. And I'm looking at Mike and Lamar, and I'm like, Jill reminds me of someone we all know. And Lamar's like, I could overall see it. And Mike's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, in the eyes. And I'm like, it's this really good friend that we've all known for years. And literally I say that in the next sequence, she's like, we could go back to my bedroom. And then she's naked. And I was like, it's just like looking at your friend naked. And
Yeah.
I didn't say it looked exactly like my friend, but I was like, if someone was like, that's that person's cousin, I'd be like, oh, I could totally see it. So shout out to our friend James. Thanks. Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
She's not really subtle about what she wants.
No.
She is not.
No, he's laying there talking about like, I'm thinking about swimming, and she's like,
Yeah.
hey, how about you put that dick right up in here?
Yeah,
Worked it
so
out.
I want to go through a sequence of events because she takes off her clothes, and I looked at Mike and Lamar. When we go through a lot of these films, especially, honestly, let's be honest, some of the more of the low budget films, there's going to be some sex sequences, and it's kind of weird. Like three dudes are just sitting in a room watching this, and this was one of the better ones, especially because it's more comedic for me. Because Andy looks like he has a fever. I liken this to the scene in Trading Places where Lewis or Dan Aykroyd has the flu and is clearly out of his mind, and Jamie Lee Curtis like takes off her clothes just to get in bed to give him body warmth, like scientifically. This is what he looks like. She gets in bed, Jill, that is, in this film, and proceeds to like kind of make out with them. He is sobbing. I do want to give a shout out to my wife who would be like, yes, people sobbing or getting married or getting engaged. She's like, how did you get engaged? I cried all day. Like, don't get engaged. My wife will totally understand. That yes, why you're having sex with someone and just full on crying. I guess there could be a lot of reasons this could happen. None that we've been aware of, and it's super awkward to watch. But then he's super into it, and then
This was the
Kansas
least...
boy becomes Kansas boy too.
Mm-hmm.
He's not man. He's
This was the
versatile.
least sexy sex that anyone has ever had.
Oh, no one was comfortable. It was this woman's butt, and then someone's like, "Show me side boob," and she's like, "But I know you," and they're like, "Yeah, but not too much side boob." And dude keep crying. He's like, "Yes," and me, Lamar, and Mike are like, "We all want to leave."
This was probably the worst.
Yes.
Like 80s montage sex scene.
Terrible.
Like, yeah,
Ever.
if the three of us here at Rabbit Troop Sucks and the actors were like, we were uncomfortable and we're like, let's just have a shot and just talk. We'll just say you had sex and just skip over it. It would be the memory we could just skip over forever in a way.
Maybe so. This woman has only been in 2 movies, and they were this one and the other one.
I assume she's from Denver. Reach out to us. I'm serious.
Maybe, yeah. Talk about the sex crying. Maybe
Now I know.
maybe Michael Krueger had the hots for this broad, and he was like, "You want to be in my movies?" And finally, by the second movie, he's like, "Let's show us that side boob."
Well, no.
And then he's like,
you
"I'm
know-
done. I'm done filmmaking."
Well, how about this? Now I'm gonna feel real bad. Like, what if this was like his significant other, and then like he died? He's like, I don't want to show too much, but I think you're like an amazing actress.
He shouldn't have thought that.
This might have been her decision, too. Who knows?
Yeah,
Reach out to us.
yeah. Please.
that was the warm welcome you wanted to hear. Yeah, I don't know.
And the music that was playing in the background, it honestly sounded like I wrote down video poker music.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You want
You're
your
like
sex
broken
scenes-
ornaments.
You want your sex scenes done with that in
Yeah.
the background. Terrible.
I'll say, to make amends for my last comment, she was the best actor in this film.
That's true.
I
with
like
all that.
straight up, I like Vinny.
You like Vinny?
Yeah, I do.
He was my favorite character, but I think she was a better actor.
Vinny, that actor was trying way too hard.
I don't
Vinny,
think. I think that was just they found Vinny. That was that
you
guy.
think that was just him?
That was his gold necklace.
That
That was his
just
like
that.
onesie that he was wearing later on.
That seems like he looks like a guy who would do that.
That's actually his apartment and his stolen
Damn.
VHS tapes.
Oh man,
This guy couldn't have been more than 5'3".
this guy's like they think they're making a movie. Well, I'm making a movie.
The movie's
You want-
about them.
You want my stolen haunted material?
It's a reverse Bowfinger that he was pulling.
That is some chubby rain.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have the worst sex ever. She has a good after sex cry.
Yeah. So let's go to the next day.
Okay.
So this dude just had sex. Awesome. Like, I don't even know what to say. So like, imagine you just had sex and that's great. Like, good for you. I don't need to go into detail. I don't want my daughter tracking this down years later and being like, my dad's a weirdo. Just like, you had sex, great. He is such an effing weirdo about it. So he gets a call from her and he's like, "Oh, mom." And she's like, "That's super weird." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, the only person that's ever called me at my motel is my mom." That makes sense. Okay. Problem diverted until he becomes an ultra weirdo. She's like, "Thanks for staying with me last night." It is a clear illusion. Like, thanks for having sex with me. Let's do this again. And he's like, "Good stuff going on." Like,
Yeah.
he's just saying like weird stuff. He's like, "I don't know, I'm writing. Thought it was my mom."
Well, then, and at one point, the sequence of
What?
events here, like, one, I don't know what time frame this movie takes place on. I don't know if it was like a week, a month.
I would assume a couple months.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, he's paying
you see
rent
him pay
for,
rent a couple
several
times, so
times,
it's
like-
been a few weeks at least.
Yeah.
But like within the span of 90 seconds, she's having after sex crying. There's a phone call, but then he's also at her apartment in his underwear writing something on a typewriter. And her roommate, who we've never talked about before,
Yes.
comes out.
Yes.
And he's like she's like kind of an attractive like bimbo archetype kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's being like really nice. She's like, "Oh, you're Andy." Like, "Oh, I wrote new slut." I don't
She
know what
was
her name
never
was.
mentioned before, was she?
No, not even.
Okay,
She
but-
she
but-
showed up dry. She showed up. She showed up super wet. But
What?
no, Paul, it's fine.
There we go.
But he's being like, one, like this dude is in your apartment writing shit on his weird typewriter, and he's also being super weird. She's like, "Hey, like, what are you writing?" He's like, "I don't know, stuff. Shut up." And she kind of like bends over to like tie her shoe or whatever. And we're just wearing underwear. And he recoils in horror at the sight of this woman bending over.
That's it.
It's super weird.
It is super weird. I don't like disagree.
Have her name. Her name's Wendy.
Wendy.
Wow. Wow.
But we also kind of parallel to this, we have he's back at his apartment.
Yep. Goes right back to the
Right.
videos.
Yeah, and he's watching I don't know if
It's not watching. I know where we're at.
does like the video play automatically?
Well,
does he keep putting it in?
Well, he keeps putting it in and falling instantly asleep.
Yeah.
He keeps putting it in, and he gets children. He's like, why am I supporting all these children?
Yeah, like
It's an old talk show.
he keeps watching
in
the
this
fucking
scene,
tape.
he comes home, he looks at it, and I know that and he just takes a nap.
Yeah.
And the tape goes in on itself.
Well, he also remarks
That's
at one point like, "Oh, the tape is playing, but nothing's plugged in." And then
Yeah, whoops.
yeah, and then it's like
Come on, Satan.
then he gets the raspberry. He gets jammed like in
the raspberry
Spaceballs.
jam.
There's like goo dripping down the screen, and
He just wipes it off.
he just wipes it off with a towel.
Dab it off.
Who in film? Who would be your like? Would it be your editor, like the blooper cleanup man? That Lamar, that's our new novella. Satan's editor. Like, whoa, bro, let's back that up. Like, I'm gonna take that out. Nope. Like you're in certain things, you're wiping off jam where you shouldn't be.
I mean, the editing of this movie
Dabs
felt
it
like
with
they
a
just
towel.
they dumped it into a paper shredder, and then they taped it together. And it was okay. They're like, you know what? This is fine. This order's good. Whatever. No one cares.
As someone in Colorado, I have so many questions. And I'm not saying that like jokingly. I still am reaching out like there's weird punk bands being played. Who are they? Like, again, are they from Colorado? Like, I kind of want to know that information. Who was this director? How did people get involved with this? I mean,
They lost bets. They owed him money.
all of that would be awesome. Like, I'm not even saying that's a bad thing.
He
Like,
was holding them hostage.
like the big thing is like we live in Colorado. We're doing this podcast, and there's like really like no major Colorado things. Yes, there's a couple like notable films, and we could always mention them. But as far as like indie, like obscure, just in Colorado, we're like, for me, I'm like, who the hell was this guy, and how did this all come together? Like multiple times in the same year. What was it filmed in the same time? Probably. Was it accidentally two movies spliced together and jumbled together? Mike noted that several times. Like, this is an afterthought. These are weird things. I'm like, maybe it was Mind Killer, which a guy demands to rent at one of the things, which Lamar was like, is that the director, Michael Krueger? I looked it up. It is not.
I've looked at several pictures. I just did an image search of Michael Krueger, and the same guy keeps coming up. I can't say the same guy,
Is
but
it
the
Freddy
same
Krueger?
the same image of a guy keeps coming up. Just a light beard, wearing glasses, and it kind of looked like the guy. And I just thought, you know what, this might be the director, but I don't think it was, honestly. In the end,
I mean, that guy was 40, like roughly, like
he was
30.
40 when he died.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's 39.
I bet it could have. Why not be in your own movies if you're going to do that?
Right.
And just have a little cameo
Full
part where you're
Hitchcock.
like, hey, do you have my movie in your video store? That'd be awesome. Just Hitchcock your way into your own movies.
Well, I'm going to jump to the chase in part of this film because I
There
know
you
Mike
go.
doesn't like it. So Andy is just now back and forth. And this is where this movie actually tightens up. But I will agree. And I'm gonna put words in Mike's mouth. Too little, too late. I think that's where we're at. This movie tightens up for like 8 minutes
That's
at the
accurate,
end,
yeah.
where it's more like, I now have these visions. It is real. These things are happening. And it's like, yeah, we kind of got it. Like, you should have just used these 8 minutes, the first 45 minutes into it. And then Andy goes on a weird kill spree. They see Andy is actually doing some of these things. Maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. Where do you want to go from there?
You know, you're powering through this.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, where do you want me to pick up here? Because you just skipped,
Vinny fights a cloaked Jedi.
you just skipped ahead like 30 minutes. You didn't even mention the guy jacking off in the bathroom.
Oh, well. It's a new year.
That was an important scene.
Yeah.
It was not an important scene.
But yeah, no, Paul's right. Like we're now seeing that Andy is like actually being possessed by this videotape. He is writing things that haven't happened yet, but then they do happen, but only because he's doing. So this is the part that I didn't really get. Like, so he falls asleep watching this videotape because he keeps fucking pressing play, and he wakes up and he has written events that have not happened yet. But the events only come true because he then does them. Like, he's writing like, Andy, went on a killing spree.
I don't,
and
Mike,
like,
honestly, I don't even know. I just feel at this point in time he has a magic typewriter.
right. Well, no, for sure. So like,
Yeah.
but like,
Oh no, that's a hashtag.
yeah, like they're only coming true because he does them. Like, it would be one thing if he woke up and he read this and it's like, oh my God, did I write that I'm going to kill somebody? But that you don't see that. You just see him writing, and then you see him going and killing people.
Yeah, he seems to just become
Yeah, he shows it to Vinny too.
like more possessed. More,
Yeah.
he like loses himself. He's no longer the Andy from the beginning of the movie,
Well,
where he has like free thought and everything.
He brings exactly. He's got bags under his eyes. He's clearly possessed or something. He brings the TV and VCR back to Vinny. He interrupts his card game. And Vinny tasks one of his card buddies to follow him in what is the worst attempted following someone ever.
Lamar, I'm going to task you with this. If you want to put together a legendary repeating looped video of this guy trying to sneak up, as epic as one of your DuckTales looped videos is, that is what I'm going to do, because holy crap, like this is like a drunken clown. I don't know, like doing the worm on a sidewalk to get to you, and you're like, oh hey dude, and you're like, what? Like just drunken doing the worm next to you. Like, it is so obvious. But yeah, I'm still powering through it. Like, these events happen, that dude's dead, boom.
Yeah, so basically Andy he kills that guy, and he's doing some other killings as well. I don't even know what's really happening. It was kind of hard for me to track at this point because it sucked and didn't make any sense.
You should just take it like this, me jumping ahead, because then it's just like boom, boom, boom. Because it's like Andy does this, Andy writes this,
true.
Andy does this. And this is kind of where I feel it tightens up, but it becomes a different flow and pace of the movie. So kind of too little, too late. But this is what inspired me to think like, oh, this could be a Tales from the Crypt episode, like. Especially if it was longer, like an hour, or 45 minutes. Like, it doesn't have to be like 30 minutes. Like, if it's now like the new scripted streaming things where it's not,
right.
Doesn't have to abide by commercials. Mike and I talked about this for ages. I think it was like when like Arrested Development came out. Like, Mike's like, I love that the story could be whatever length it needs to be, because some episodes were 24 minutes, some were 37. Like, it was drastically different. I was like, yes, I totally agree. Like,
yeah.
Like, you just don't have to make it this certain within 10 seconds of a story. Things could have happened.
Right. So to follow suit on Paul's powering through, the kind of the main conclusion starts when, what's that bitch's name?
Jill.
When Jill and Wendy, Wendy's reading some of this writing that Andy has left behind in their apartment. And Jill comes home, and Wendy's like, Jill, you need to fucking read this, and then we need to call the police, because your boyfriend is fucking bananas, which is the most realistic thing that happened in that movie.
Yes.
Or
Vinny.
And now we have, so Vinny and Andy are on kind of like a team-up mission.
Yeah, I like
Love
that
it.
team up, actually.
This is why Vinny is my favorite character of the movie.
Right. And they were, I don't even remember what they were doing. They were trying to like find the cult. I don't really know what they were up to. But they were skulking around. They had the lead pipe from earlier. Did the cult steal the
cult? They tracked down Vinny for the tape.
Did they get the tape back?
No, they ran off, and then they went back to Vinny's place to go watch the tape?
Yes, that's what I have here. That Andy and Vinny were watching the tape, and in the tape, it's showing the future, and in the future, Andy is killing Vinny. So Vinny's like, "Fuck this noise," and he starts like,
"Oh, it shows Andy killing the guy that Vinny sent him at him first."
Yes.
Yeah, he sees him killing that guy, and then we see
Lamar should make a animated loop of.
do the GIF.
That'll be.
But then the tape proceeds to play the future, the very near future of Andy killing Vinny. So Vinny pulls out his switchblade. This is when the cops show up. The cops that Wendy and
that weird detective guy.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
It doesn't matter. He was chewing on a match the whole time.
Okay.
They arrest, I think, both of them.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's crazy. So here, we never see Vinny again, right? Like
Right.
he just goes to prison.
Yeah, presumably.
Straight up prison. No idea why.
But Andy goes to like an insane asylum.
Yeah, and he goes to an insane asylum, we assume.
And they give him a typewriter,
Yeah,
which was like the whole reason we're in this mess.
Right, and he's typing up on the same typewriter.
Right.
Typing up on some teal, like some 80s typewriter. And the nurse is like, "Oh, I love stories. Like, what are you talking about?" Nothing. And he says nothing. And then it's alluded to that he wrote a story about the nurse, and he's passed on the curse to the nurse.
Right. But also Jill is there visiting him, and she's like, "I love you."
Oh, no. The nurse is like, he's like, "I wrote a story about you," but Jill, he's like, "I passed on a curse to you, and you're gonna die, and it's gonna be awful," and it's basically freeze frame.
Yeah.
End of story. Night vision. Boom.
Wow.
I don't care. There's a bunch of people living in Denver, Colorado. I would love to know more about this backstory. I think the backstory would maybe let Mike enjoy this movie more. Not that he would never watch it again, but be like, "That's interesting." But that's what I got. We're back in Denver, Colorado.
So you and I watched the other movie, Brain Fucker, Mind Flayer. What was it called?
Is it Mind Killer?
Mind Killer. Because you pitched it to me like, Rami and I watched this other movie by this other director. It's all filmed in Denver. I was like, cool. And then we watched Mind Killer, and it sucked.
That
movie was awful.
We're never gonna review this on that.
But you're like, you know what? We should watch the other one because it was much better. And then you made me watch it tonight, and it was honestly, I think, worse. I think I honestly thought Mind Killer was a better, more fun movie than this.
Which season are we in of Michael Krueger? Are we in the beginning phase? Are we in the ending phase? I don't know.
So a long time ago, you and I watched a movie that was filmed in Denver, a very low budget film called Freddy versus the Ghostbusters.
We should totally do that.
That was a better movie than either of these.
Well, I'm clearly not disagreeing on any of that.
I'd be willing to go back to that.
Especially Halloween. Oh my God, Mike, that would be a great one.
There you go. Yeah. So in a year or 10 months, we've got a list.
Or you got your Halloween.
But so that because I've been bitching about it for an hour and a half. You guys know my feelings.
Yeah.
Lamar, how did you feel about this movie? And did you see Mind Killer? Did you watch it with us?
I didn't.
Okay.
I think you did, Lamar. I mean, I think Mike and I talked about it more in of a Denver context, but like, I think you watched it with us, and I mean, honest to God, like, wouldn't it be like May, April?
I mean, it was earlier this year.
If we did, I don't remember it. I would remember it.
I think you did. I think honestly you did. But like, let's just stick with this. I mean, with the time we have left, like, what did you think about this film?
Yeah,
I probably enjoyed that movie better than this one. I like the concept of this movie. Interesting story. Just bad characters is what I would say for this movie. Denver feel, I'm not feeling it. They were talking about high crime areas and garbage in the street. It's not authentic Denver. I'm not hitting them up for that, but the abrupt scene shifting in this movie was just the odd pacing. I just thought this movie was meh.
Yeah, this movie was a mess. Like the overall plot, I don't really have a problem with. But also the plot was kind of the same plot as Mind Killer.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mind Killer is like some weird milquetoast incel guy that works at a library, and he finds a book that tells him how to mind kill.
I've never seen this movie. It sounds interesting, though.
Totally watched it. Lamar totally watched it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but like it's basically like a guy it's about like a wiener loser guy who, through the power of writing, either does murders.
Oh, another
Is
writing.
Wiener Loser guy a Twitter handle? So much
Yeah,
It
data.
probably is. This movie wasn't bad. Not that bad. I liked it in some aspects. Like I said, I liked the concept of it, the interesting story behind it. But just as a watching experience, a movie experience, the acting was terrible, and the last half of the movie it just dragged on for me.
Yeah.
because
Oh
of
my
the
god, this movie.
relationship between I forgot the main character's name, and
Jill? Andy?
Jill and
Yeah.
Andy. Yeah.
So
their
here's the thing.
relationship, like it just drags on. It's just not really.
I don't feel the last half drags on. I feel the last half should have been what the movie was supposed to be. Like, the first half is like, holy God, we get it. You've come into town. This girl hates you. She kind of likes you. Let's get to it. Like, that is literally an hour of this 1 hour and 40-minute film where I'm like, we could have established this lickety split and then things get weird. That's why I'm like, the more I think about it, like, I like the story. Like, I like the story overall. But again, Tales from the Crypt. Like,
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, this
like,
could have been like an episode of something.
yeah.
And if the story, if
Yeah.
the pacing was solid, like consistent through the whole movie, it would have felt a little better. But I just felt like the halfway through it, they just went a different way with it.
Well, that's my intrigue of this film, to be honest with you. I mean, this guy wrote this film. No one's disagreeing that the story, like, overall sucks. It's just the execution is not great.
Yeah,
But, like, just like, Mike, I don't even know how old this guy was. Like, I mean, I have to do the math. Like, so he's in his 20s. Like, later, I think. He just could have done something. Even written. Like, even if he was like, oh my God, my directing was terrible. But, like, what could have been is kind of my intrigue with all this.
Yeah.
Like,
So
because we just have nothing else in
that's
Colorado.
fair. So my thoughts on this are, and I know I've been like poking fun, and what I'm about to say is kind of mean spirited, but I do genuinely think like this is where my mind is at with this guy. So both of his movies have been about little wiener guys who have very clear mommy issues, who stumble upon accidentally through words the ability to kill people.
I like where you're going with.
Like
That is accurate.
I genuinely think that this dude has some kind of weird undiagnosed mental issue, the writer of these movies, and he is writing some kind of weirdo fantasy of his own life.
That is a fair assessment based off what you
I mean,
see.
I'm not disagreeing, honestly, with any of that.
Sure.
But imagine 20 years more of experience if he didn't pass away.
I think if he didn't pass away, he would have been murdering people.
or making movies about murdering people.
Like I like the weird like murder fantasy similarities between these two movies make me think that this guy
God damn.
had like a dark mind.
I gotta see this other movie now.
Here's the thing.
Damn it.
I don't really want to say more because I'm like, we should do some research. And then we're going to find out this guy was like probably in the occult and was like a dirty serial killer. And I'm going to be like, oh, I don't want to be associated with that at all.
Honestly, like watching these two movies and deconstructing the plots, that's what it feels like to me.
Damn.
I mean, that's
damn,
so
damn.
crazy because, I mean, Lamar, I'm going to throw this out to you just because there's a similarity more with our movie watching. I could see what Mike's saying. That's why I'm now like backpedaling. Like, I don't want my name associated with this. But I'm also like, every time I like, until Mike just said that now, I was like, I just took it as like, oh my God, that is like a 80s trope over and over again. Like, this is so 80s. That's why I'm like, yes, but is it too 80s? I don't know, Lamar. What do you think about that?
I want to let that one go and just let this movie breathe. Just the way it
Wow.
I will just let Night Vision just be Night Vision.
Okay.
This guy was a guy who made a movie, and that was that.
Well, I did have one question for all of you. That's why. So I was trying to power through it, and I'll make it really quick. Just before I get there is, as always, if you want to reach out to us, especially if you know anyone who's making Denver films or know anything about Michael Krueger and this film, and I'm personally invested in this, even if some of my members are not. I would love to know more, and they would too. Like, to be honest, if someone was like, seriously, I know something. Yes.
Oh no, I would love to talk to someone about that. Also, if I upset you, you can go fuck yourself. Just don't kill me.
But reach out to us without the killing or threats to rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on outside of Gmail, Instagram or Facebook, or I don't know. There's probably ways. Whatever. It is the first episode of the new year. Welcome 2023. Really, really quickly, are you guys looking forward to anything? Is there a new video game? Is there a new movie? Is there a new anything? Super quickly, we could discuss this more into a next episode. But is there anything you're like, even if it's later in this year, like, bam, that sounds awesome. Like, really quick, I'm going to start with Lamar. I'll go myself and then Mike. And that's the order that you are listening to us in.
I feel like 2022 just went by so fast. I haven't processed what would even come up in 2023. I'm trying to process the stuff that came out in 2022. I have so many TV shows and movies and video games to catch up on, and just regular media from the past year that I'm looking forward to 2022 and 2023. How's that sound?
That's great. That's gonna be my tip off to me, because I told Lamar, or I asked Lamar a few days ago, "Are you up to date on Cobra Kai?" And Lamar's like, "I'm not." I was like, "What's it like having a unicorn and a rainbow in a package that you know you could open?" That,
yeah. And I'm gonna open all of those unicorns.
I am looking forward to new Cobra Kai beyond anything. As far as shows watch, it's just so fun for me. It is me nerding out. It is me just having a good time, not feeling like weird about anything. It's just a super fun show with something I grew up with. Cobra Kai, hell yes. I'm looking forward to this. As far as anything else goes, Indiana Jones. I hope you correct what you did before. I'm super skeptical. Harrison Ford, we love you. So
we do, yeah.
Yeah, like that's universal. You were always Indiana Jones to all of us, and I'm going to say that. And I just look forward to hoping that that's good. But Cobra Kai, I know you're going to be good. Mike,
I don't know. I don't know what's coming out. I don't.
What's hip with these kids?
Are you like me?
These jazz albums? Are you listening to these jazz?
So
did you miss 2022?
Are you getting into dubstep?
Yeah. So the one thing that I have been looking forward to today, because I just found out about it, even though this is something that happened, I want to say 1 to 2 years ago. The old computer game Myst was released for the Switch. Like
I just read about that.
But it was released honestly a couple years ago. This isn't recent.
Yeah.
But I just found out about it today, and I'm really excited to play it.
Wait, the game Myst?
Yeah.
Like
from 30 years ago.
And for the Switch?
Yeah.
You have a Switch?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah, so I'm excited to play a re-release of a 30-year-old game that came out 2 years ago that I only found out about today.
I have fond memories of when Myst came out. Just the graphics blew my mind. And what was that, 94?
Yeah. Can't wait to see it on that Switch, I guess.
It was honestly, I love that game mainly for, I like puzzles.
Yeah.
And it was just one of the graphic puzzles too.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Graphics like
hell
that.
No. I'm gonna keep Mike real on this.
Okay.
I think honestly, out of the three of us, Mike is way more the dedicated gamer. Like more big end games. I don't mean that as like a weird thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like I'm super retro. This is why I bond with Lamar. I may play like super simple or pixelated games.
Yeah, you like the throwbacks and the re-releases
and the
like
platformers.
the side scrollers and stuff.
Right.
Like I definitely like the larger format.
So Yeah, a real question. What's a huge game that you're looking forward to? Like, I know Diablo is probably a game we might play. That's coming out at some point in time.
Oh, I don't know.
You are into is it Forza?
I'm a Gran Turismo guy.
Yeah, but there's like two.
Yeah. Forza's the other.
Yeah.
one.
Like Mike's like a super like auto sim player. That's awesome. I'm not joking. Like, I'm not clowning on any of this. What is there a game? Last of Us you've played, or
I hated Last of Us. I couldn't finish it. I thought that game sucked. I know that's not a popular.
I've never played it. Yeah.
I just thought it was so fucking boring. I just started playing Cyberpunk, which I know is like not a new release, but I'm usually.
But now there's like 85 updates.
Well, I think it's playable now, which is fun. I have it for the PlayStation. I created my character. I selected his penis length and pubic hairstyle.
Yes.
Which are things that you have to do.
Gotta.
And it's just been fun, jacking into the system. But yeah, new games coming out. I'm excited about a 30-year-old game apparently. So I don't know what's coming out next.
There's a new Horizon game coming out.
I will always be excited for that.
But no, I think he's already played it. Like,
I mean, like a multiplayer Horizon.
Yeah, they're.
Oh, is that this year?
I don't know if it's going to be this year or not.
Isn't there is that the movie Ghost of Tsushima?
Ghost of Tsushima? Yeah.
Yeah.
That game is dope.
Is there a sequel coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so.
I know there's a movie, and I think it's the John Wick director, which...
Oh, that cool. That could be cool.
Well, that is the game I want to gravitate towards most. Mike, you got me this game. It is a game that I like seriously want to play and not just like joke around about.
Yeah, you got to dig into it.
Right. Like that. This is game number 1 for me. But I think there might be a sequel. Yeah, I just don't know anything. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about it this year. So reach out to us if you know anything about this movie. Michael Krueger, and R.I.P. Michael Krueger.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could have seen more. Like, and I'll continue to watch. And we're back with Denver, Colorado. But as always, Rabbit Troop sucks.